So I have with me today the lovely Luni, and she is content maker. She's a fabulous singer and producer, recorder, and she's with me here today to talk about her and her life and what she does and how she does it, basically. So good afternoon, Luni.
Thank you so much, and I'm just really pleased to be here, and I'm really glad that you asked me to come on. It's a pleasure.
Now
Thank
that's
you so
okay.
much.
I was curious, and being someone who interviews people, I wanted to ask you some questions. So let's get on with that. So, Looney, just for everyone else, if they've not already come across you, what do you want to give us a little bit of an overview of who you are and what you're about?
Yes, sure. I sometimes find this question a little bit tricky because how do you how do you say who you are? But I think I'm an artist. I come from a classical background. I grew up in Denmark and then moved to London about 6 years ago. And I've always been singing. I've always sort of been this sort of like weird little girl that's just had so many ideas and imagination, and I always found it so much easier to express myself through music and lyrics and poems and sort of creative ways. So I kind of took that to be my own. So after I sang in choirs in the Danish National Girls Choir for a really long time, I discovered sort of writing my own music, and that's when I moved to London to sort of explore that side of myself. And so I tried to mix that into my sort of electronic universe of sounds. I loved electronic music. It was just way more fun than classical. And then because when I moved to London, I knew absolutely no one. I wanted to sort of be able to record the music myself. So I learned how to do that. And I think some things just come out of necessity. And I think actually that was really useful because now I don't necessarily produce all my own music, but I'm able to, and that gives a bit of an opening door to a language that you can then speak with other people, and you can be in that process as well.
Well, just going back to language, you speak English so eloquently. It's just
Thank
beautiful.
you. But do you know what? I just hate the Danish accent so much. So I just
Really?
try to, and I think I'm a sponge. I'm such a sponge for accents. I used to live with a girl from Liverpool for a long time. So now my accent's a little bit scoused. Um, just a smidge. Yeah.
A little bit, just a little bit. Well, it's
Yeah.
beautiful anyway, and that reflects in your voice, your singing voice as well. So, are you actually classically trained?
Yes, I'm a classically trained soprano, but I have a very broad range. So that means I can have those sort of like deeper voice, but then I can also go up in the sort of more angelic sound.
Mm. And you do,
And I
and
try to use that.
to describe your music, I mean, coming from Denmark does actually make sense because it's very Icelandic kind of, I don't know, mystical, calming music, and your voice is just that. It just floats along, do you know? So it is honestly, it's so peaceful and
I'm glad.
yeah, it's
Because I
lovely.
always used to find that my songs were very depressing because I always found it easier to talk about the things that I would really hate talking about in person. So, emotions and conflict and heart sort of sorrow and things that I just found was just so uncomfortable to say out loud in words that was just easier to say in music
Oh wow,
somehow.
like a channel to kind of
Yeah.
a place to channel your energies. So that was your therapy.
Definitely. It
Yeah.
still is to this day.
To be
Yeah.
honest, a lot of people say that music is their therapy, whether they're listening to it or creating it. So you're not on your own there.
Or
So wow,
not.
that was a big jump to come to London though to try and pursue your dream of becoming an artist. So did you come over on your own or did your family move?
No, so it was just me. And I think I've always been a control freak, but moving to London was not planned. I had no savings. I had no idea I was going to move. My friend was living here at the time and she just said, Laura, I think you'll love it. Come visit me. So I did that for a weekend in June and it was one of those beautiful days. It was sunny. I went to Brick Lane, East London Market, but there was all these quirky colours and markets everywhere. And I just thought, I don't know why, but I just need to be here. So I applied for a degree in creative musicianship, and I had no idea if they were going to accept me. And then they accepted me on the spot, and I was like, flipping heck, I need to sort out what I'm going to do, And I had 2 months to sort everything out. I knew absolutely no one when I moved. I had to ask to lend money from my parents to pay for the flight because
Hmm.
I had no money. And then I got a job, and whilst I was studying, and I was actually thinking today, it was really hard. I was lonely. I had no idea what I was doing, but I'm so glad I went through it because it's made me a more humble, confident, me as a person.
Yeah,
And
exactly. The making of you.
yeah, as cheesy as it sounds, for
Yeah, but
sure.
there is always something in life that actually change shifts. It's a real shape change, and
Mm.
it kind of moves you from one kind of place right to another. So, and that was yours, obviously. So that's good. That's fantastic. So the early years again. So you've moved over. You took a massive leap of faith, and you came over to Britain and to live and settled in London, probably the most expensive place here. So good luck. Your parents will be like, why couldn't you just go up north? It'd be cheaper. Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're studying as well as doing all your artist stuff, and you've come a long way. You've got a YouTube channel. So what's your YouTube channel all about?
Yeah, so I started a YouTube channel and it's called Life of Luni because I wanted to showcase what an artist is actually on, like what is it and what is all the process around it, because doing the creative stuff is quote unquote only one thing, because nowadays artists need to have build their own fan base, you need to create cool content, you need to find a way to show who you are as a brand and as a personality and engage with people. And I think that's, suddenly you need a degree in so many things, more or less. Like, oh, I need to sort
Yeah.
of like be a marketing expert in what I'm doing, and bring awareness in a fun way. And I just
Yeah.
thought, well, there's so much behind the scenes that's not being shown normally. And all of that mind stuff, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, can I do this, who I'm going to reach out to, all of that grind, I wanted to showcase it. So I just put a collection together of a lot of footage of behind the scenes, and I would just put it on YouTube. I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to edit it and I'm just going to put it out
There you go.
and
Yeah, but it's a
see
good
what happens.
insight for people who want to do the same thing, isn't it? It's like it's not all, looking great and being on YouTube, but there is actually some hard work behind it. And you do actually touch on some really raw subjects. I mean, you do talk about body confidence and self-image and self-worth, which is lovely, and it's great that you're so open and honest about how your journey from feeling undervalued or no self-worth and what you did about it, which I think is really a really good thing to do. It's because artists do have crisis of confidence, don't they, as well? I mean, not just artists, just people in general. And I think your YouTube videos are very helpful, as well as how to build your content and how people are interested in how you put these things together. You're right, it's not just the end result, it's how you get there, isn't it? The journey is more important sometimes than the actual destination. So that's fantastic. So what kind of things are you working on at the moment?
Thank you so much for saying that as well. I'm glad that providing value. And I think you need to be open, you need to be authentic. And I am in no way, shape, or form perfect. But that's the point. I think, we need to showcase more that, when you're because I needed my face to just be like, I've always been like, my face needs to be my first thing that people see. I need this to be on point.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just so much more to it. You can't just be a pretty person because you have stuff underneath. You have a soul. Anyway, so I'm working on my EP at the moment, which is coming out later this year. It's actually being mixed at the moment, which I'm really excited for. And this is the first time I've actually creating music that I just feel excited and proud to show to the world. In the past, I always felt like, oh, I don't really know, it doesn't feel finished, oh, I'm not really sure. But now I'm just like, do you know what? I've worked on this for a long time. It represents who I am, and I want to share that with people.
It's ready to go. When do you think it will be released?
So it will be probably a mix of single release. It won't be released all in one go. But hopefully a plan that in the beginning of summer will be, late spring, beginning of summer will be the first single come out.
Oh, fantastic. And if it's an EP, is there about like 5 tracks on there?
There's 4 tracks, 4-track EP.
Oh, that's good. That's brilliant. Okay, well, we look forward to that. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, me too.
So what are you doing at the moment then? Are you studying still?
No, so I'm working full time. I actually work in music publishing alongside my artistry. So I sit and make playlists for production music. So anything background music-ish. documentaries and promos and whatnot. So I think it's been quite useful having both sides of sort of the music industry, where I have a little bit of knowledge and experience in sort of licensing and sync, but then also the creative side.
That is a fantastic job to have alongside what you're doing. That is great.
Yeah, I feel very lucky.
You
Yeah,
are.
that's
That is a
been a
fantastic job.
roadblock.
I wouldn't say that was easy to get into, so congratulations.
Thank you. Do you know
Fabulous.
what? I think a lot of people say that, and I think it's not, but I was very persistent. I honestly called the HR lady every week until she gave me a job. And
Mm.
I called her and I just said, "Oh, I'm just checking in to see if there's any job openings." And she was like, "No." And I said, "Oh, can I call you in a week?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can." And I bet she thought I was bizarre in doing that. But I think because I would kept being on her radar, I wasn't being pushy. I just asked, "Oh, would you mind if I call again in a week's time just to check?" And she said, "Yeah." And then eventually she called me. She's like, "Oh, there's an interview now. Do you want to come in?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." So I think sometimes you underestimate that, it's not necessarily, oh, the one CV you send out. No, it's so many CVs, it's so many conversations and following up with messages that nobody got back to you. Those are the sort of where the magic is
Yeah.
those things.
Do you know what? You're right. And I think that people don't realize sometimes the connection that they've just made. Do you know what I mean? So reaching out to someone is scary, and sometimes it goes against your own grain, I suppose, but it can so open up so many opportunities. So especially in this lockdown time, you have to adapt and you have to change how you connect with people. So it is a very changeable world, but you just got to take, as I said before, you got to take that leap of faith, and um, you know the brave ones are definitely rewarded. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
And also, oh, sorry, this connection.
No, no,
I was just going to mention one thing. Like you're planting seeds.
exactly.
You're farming. You're not hunting, and you never know where things will take you. I think, not that I've achieved a lot of things so far, but I think the things that I have been involved in and the things that I have been achieving have been a bit random, and they haven't been the way I thought they would turn out to be. So that just goes to show, like, you just have to keep an open mind, and you just have to try.
Yeah, and keep
And
consistent is the thing as well, isn't it? Did see something on your story about seeds and the quietness of seeds growing, and it's the trees that fall that make the noise, but the seeds that grow are the silent
yeah,
ones. It's all very, philosophical and very thoughtful. You are very much mind, heart, body, and soul kind of person, a very spiritual persona. So is that you? Do you look into those kind of things, and do you look
oh,
after all of those elements of you?
definitely. I think just through my own story of, I used to have a lot of health problems when I was a child with my gut and my skin.
Mhm.
And I was always very sort of dreaming, and I had a bit of trouble feeling like belonging when I was a bit younger, still sometimes to this day. And I think that made me sort of change the way I perceive the world and tap into other things, like, for example, spirituality or religion, and sort of being one with nature. How do I treat my body? How do I treat my mind? What am I connected to? Who am I as a soul? And that sort of had just helped me feeling connected to the big picture,
Yeah.
but also a way to thrive in a way and connect with other people.
I think
Yeah.
that was you planting seeds all that time ago, to be honest. And this is what it's grown into.
Yeah, probably. I just didn't know at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Oh, that's fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
we look forward to the EP at late spring, early summer. Looking forward to late spring, early summer, full stop. To be honest, but that's just something else to look forward
Yeah.
to. So with lockdown, hopefully we'll be out of lockdown. Then you might even be able to do some performances.
Oh,
And
I bloody hope so.
yeah, how have you found lockdown? I suppose we can't leave without exploring what it's been like for everybody. How's it been for you?
Do you know what? I think it's been a mixed bag. I guess it has been for everybody. I think there was definitely some challenges of, like, loneliness, sanity, feeling like a caged animal. However, I also think it's been very useful for me to sort of stop, breathe, what actually makes you happy, what is important. Because I was rushing around a little bit prior to lockdown, just like, oh yeah, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do
I
this
think
and
we
do
all
that,
were,
and
to
meet
be
these
honest.
people.
Yeah, we
And
were.
I just, it was just exhausting, and I just burned out more than I was enjoying doing all those things. I think it's actually gave me just the freedom to just pause, and nobody was going to expect me to show up anywhere, and that gave me just a little bit of time to get myself back on track.
Mm,
But then obviously now I miss seeing people. I haven't seen my family in a very long time.
mm,
I miss going out doing stuff. I miss all of those little things that we never thought would be important are
no,
suddenly incredibly important. People,
absolutely.
human
People,
interaction.
yeah. I just want to be. Oh, I just want to see my
What a
friends.
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, concerts are
Well,
a
I
dream
think,
right
you
now.
know, yeah, and it has been really hard. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, because it has. And there's been days where I felt really down and I had no inspiration and no motivation. It was just very frustrating when you're trying to excuse me, be creative. And that's just the reality. But I try not to
What would you
linger on.
do on those days then? On those days where you've got no motivation, you're not thinking creatively whatsoever, you've just, more or less hit rock bottom. What do you do to kind of like just get yourself out of it?
So I wish I'd be the kind of person that, oh, I'll make some banana bread and go for a run. But I honestly would lie down, sleep. I'm a sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely sleep. I would probably try to make life easier for myself. Maybe take a day off if I needed to do work, or maybe see if I can postpone any of that. I would call a friend or doing something that would make me feel better in the moment. And that might differ. For me, it might be like, I might go for a walk. Sometimes I can't even be asked. So I might just put on Netflix, make a cup of tea. Maybe it's like making some nutritious food. And sometimes it's just being in the moment. I'd always try to sort of bring back being in the moment. So either if it's like a 5 minute meditation, or singing along to a song, or just sort of bringing my awareness back, so I'm not stuck in like, oh, this frustration, but it's trying, okay, actually, what can I learn from this, and what can I bring forward with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Just finding those little things that bring you that little bit of happiness, isn't it? As you say, cups of tea and stuff like that, nice things, but not,
Yeah, but it differs from every single person. I think we're definitely in a world now where there's so many expectations to how we should live our lives, and it's like, who on earth is to decide how somebody should live their life? I am to decide how I live my life, and it might look very different to someone else, but it doesn't mean it's less right. It doesn't mean it's wrong.
no,
So I
not.
think it's tuning into what you need as an individual in this moment in time, which is hard,
It
but
is indeed. It is indeed.
sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're very on point there with the fact that it's 50-50. We've learnt a lot during lockdown. We've learnt our priorities. We've learnt about what we miss and what we almost self imploded, didn't we, with rushing here and rushing there and no time for anything. And it's just like, where's it all going to stop? And then it just stopped. So it just made us stop.
Yeah.
COVID aside.
Yeah, but I also think,
Go on.
no, sorry, you go.
No, I'm just whittling on. You carry on.
No, I was just gonna say that I think you're right, and I also think it makes you appreciate those little things. Like, it made me feel really grateful for the place I live, for my job, for I have food on the table. I don't need, I've been so fortunate I can work from home, and I know that so many people haven't been in that position. So I think it also brought just back gratitude for those very basic human needs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um, that are much more important than what we sometimes might go around and wonder, oh yeah, somebody didn't get back to my text or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you actually have those fundamental things in your life that's going to make you flourish in some way, shape, or form.
I wish that people would see that, obviously during this pandemic, people have realised that things like wealth don't count. Um,
Mm.
Things like fashion doesn't matter. These kind of things are just things, basically. It's just stuff, to quote Fight Club. But it
You're
is.
so right.
So,
Mm.
I think, I mean, I know it's not my interview, but if you want to know,
Go for it.
during lockdown, I felt, like people were out helping people deliver shopping and all the NHS staff and all that. I just felt that my job was useless. I just thought I do this job and it doesn't help anyone really. Do you know what I mean? It supplies a service, but the service is not necessary to live. So
Mm.
I just kind of stepped back and thought, oh wow, you know, I want to be a nurse. I want to go and help people, and I want to do this. And obviously, I've kind of, you know, thought, no, that's not, you know, I'm not really designed for that. But I did have those thoughts and just thought, you know, I want to do something a bit more useful in the community, and that's the way it goes, isn't it? It takes a pandemic to make people stop and reflect and to say,
Mm.
you know, what is important. And but one of the things I think is important, as we were talking about at the beginning of the interview, is music, because music, as we said, is therapy for the artist as well as the listener. And you know, I managed to get to one gig between lockdowns in November, October, November. I know, woohoo! But honestly, it was so emotional. Like I try and go to a gig like every, well, it was almost every 2 weeks at one point, but not being to a gig for such a long time and then hearing live music, and it was fantastic as well. I just got so emotional, and the
Mm.
artists got so emotional because they hadn't sang live since March, do you know, and it was just, if something can do that to a person, that's brilliant, do you know?
Oh, I love that so much. And just goes to show the value of live. You just can't replace it. I also went to one gig and it was my cousin singing with an orchestra because he's a classical singer. And I just got so emotional. And it was the most bizarre thing because I normally find sometimes my classical music very long and
Hmm.
you need to be in the right mood. But I was just so excited, and you could feel I mean, it feel the vibration of the sound in your body, and it was just
Yeah.
very overwhelming. I nearly cried just
Yeah.
because,
I actually, you know, I was actually holding back
yeah,
tears because it does. It just overwhelms you, doesn't it? In this joyous feeling, it was just lovely. So
yeah.
totally get it. So I can't wait.
Yeah, let's have more of that.
Yes, let's have some more of that. Oh well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today, Looney, and I really hope that we can catch up again a bit closer to the time when your EP releases, so we can play some music. Um,
I would love to.
in the
Thank you
mean,
so much.
yeah, no, that's no problem. In the meantime, though, the very best to you and what you're doing, and hope everything goes well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on and taking the time. And I look forward to what's going to happen next.
Yay! Hang on.